Vice President Lenny Robredo, Director Lani Nicodemos, fellow officials and workers, women advocates, good morning. I welcome you to this virtual edition of the Women's Month celebration. Binabati ko ang lahat ng nakikiisa at nakikibahagi sa ating munting pagdiriwang ngayon, lalo na ang mga kababaihan. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to affect us, with women among those mostly heavily hit. Women are leading the health response as they comprise almost 70% of the healthcare workforce, exposing them to greater risk of infection. At the same time, women are also shouldering much of the burden at home, given school and childcare facility closures and persistent gender inequalities in the work setting. Women also face high risk of job and income loss, an increased risk of violence, exploitation, abuse, or harassment during the crisis and quarantine, as studies show. The pandemic has deepened pre-existing gender inequalities and disproportionately affected women and girls. Women are losing livelihoods because they are overrepresented in sectors and jobs hardest hit by COVID-19. A recent report by the UN shows that women's mental health has suffered a larger setback. 57% of women noting increases in stress and anxiety compared to 48% of men. Increased unpaid work and domestic workloads, anxiety over income loss, and the impacts of movement restrictions on gender-based violence are all contributing factors. In our setting, this is happening. More violations and harassment against women are occurring during the almost year of living with the pandemic. Thus, it is a two-edged sword. On one side, women serving as frontliners and leaders, and on the other side, women as victims and most vulnerable sector within the crisis. At UP Manila, including at the Philippine General Hospital, we are proud that women are making a great positive difference in major fronts. Women are at the center of COVID-19 response as health workers, researchers, administrators, educators, lab personnel, volunteers, organizers, facilitators, and community workers. But such is not true for all institutions and settings. In most communities and facilities, the pandemic has made women's access to quality services and availment of their rights more difficult. As the crisis continues, we must safeguard the progress made towards gender equality, including hard-won gains for sexual and reproductive health and rights that have become prey to this crisis. We must continue to be vigilant and wage information and advocacy campaigns to, to make change work for women, more so during the pandemic and in recovery efforts. During last year's commemoration, I said my dream was for a time when we don't have to set aside a month to advocate for gender equality. It is my belief that here in UP Manila, we are moving forward towards the dream, pandemic notwithstanding. But much still have to be done in the greater scheme within the country and the world. Nonetheless, we will continue to create ripples for this vision to become a reality. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Mabuhay ang kababaihang Pilipino.